An unhealthy gut can cause many problems, starting with things like digestive issues or food intolerances, but also less obvious things are controlled by big parts via your gut, including your mood, your energy levels, your weight, or even your immune system. In this video I want to show you 5 easy but scientifically proven ways to boost your gut health and thereby improve your overall health and mood. Before we start, I want to clarify that these tips probably work for most people, but you might have reasons why something is not working for you. However, these tips are very easy to implement in your daily life, which means that you don't have to follow a radical diet to achieve a healthy lifestyle. So let's start with the first one. Avoid processed foods.
Duh.
So let me really quick explain it with some science, as we have learned that if we don't understand the why behind something, we probably won't do it. Processed foods are usually packed with added sugars, artificial sweeteners and emulsifiers. And research over the last years has shown us that these three by itself can have detrimental effects on the health of our gut microbiome. Maybe the biggest problem with processed food is not even what is in there, but what it is lacking: fiber. Fiber is usually removed when food is processed to change the consistency and also the taste. However, by removing the fiber, we remove the food for our microbes and will potentially starve them. Which brings me to the next point. Eat more fiber. Fiber is not just the indigestible part of food that helps us poop, even though it does help us poop, I mean. Some people don't do well on high amounts of fiber, but most of us can probably benefit by increasing the fiber intake a little bit, as the typical Western diet is deprived of fiber. And even though the recommendations aim for like 30 grams of fiber each day, the daily average is barely at 15 grams. Even though we cannot digest it, our gut bacteria can digest certain kinds of fiber, and they need it for growing, and they show their gratitude by producing molecules that can be very beneficial for our health. One group of these beneficial molecules produced by our gut microbes are called short-chain fatty acids. Science has shown us that short-chain fatty acids play an important role in health and disease, especially via their function to regulate our immune system and also by providing energy to the cells lining the gut. Research also suggests that the starving microbiome starts to eat the mucus layer, which is a slimy substance lining and protecting the inner wall of the gut. This mucus layer prevents the direct contact of the trillions of microbes living in our gut with our own cells, including the gut-resident immune cells. If microbes get too close to our own cells, they can set off alarm bells within the immune system. This can lead to a leaky gut and chronic inflammation, and you really don't want to have this, as it has been shown over and over again that chronic inflammation can cause or aggravate almost any disease, including cancer, Alzheimer, heart diseases, and many more. Researchers found that just a couple days on a Western-style diet that is extremely low in fiber was enough to reduce the size of the mucus layer extremely. But by adding back some fiber and probiotic bacteria, the protective mucus layer could be restored. Some high fiber foods that are good for the microbiome are berries like raspberries or blueberries, artichokes, asparagus, broccoli, almonds, chickpeas, but also cacao. So dark chocolate might not even be so bad for you, just get the really dark kind. The next advice would be to eat a more diverse diet. We know that the diversity of our gut microbiome is one of the most important indicators for our health. But how do we actually get there? Professor Tim Spector, author of the fascinating book The Diet Myth, explains in his talk at the King's College London what matters most for a diverse microbiome.
The one thing that determined this summary health, gut health if you like, which I'm calling diversity, where you want maximum diversity, the number one thing we found was not whether you were vegan, not whether you were vegetarian, not whether you're gluten-free or lactose-free or any one of these other religions, but actually just the number of different plants you ate every week. Okay? And I'm talking not just, you don't have to have, and that doesn't mean having 20 portions of kale every day. It means having different seeds, different herbs, different spices, and it's mixtures of fruits and berries and nuts and all these kind of things together, because each of those are fuel for your microbes.
An easy trick to increase the variety on your plate that has worked for me is that every time I went to the grocery store, I tried to buy something I never had before or didn't have in a long time. Some spices, some veggies or some fruit, whatever it is, as long as it is unprocessed food. It might be you don't like it, but who knows, you might discover your new favorite food. Of all the tips on this list, the next one might be the most controversial one. Eat some probiotic food. Some people say that probiotics don't do anything. Others say they are harmful. And again others praise them as cure for all. Well, obviously it's not a cure for all, but more and more scientific studies are published showing the positive effects of either probiotics or fermented food on reducing inflammation, supporting the immune system, helping with weight loss, improving digestion, supporting detoxification of the body, improving mood levels, and many other things. I want to add that most microbes found in probiotic food don't really stay in our gut for very long, but they still seem to do something beneficial for us while they pass through, and they can also somehow change the microbial community on their way out. I would usually recommend to get your probiotics from fermented food, as this is easy, cheap and fresh, and also provides the prebiotics, which is the food for the microbes. Probiotics might not be necessary if you have a healthy gut community. But there are so many things that can disturb a healthy gut, including antibiotics, medication, heavy drinking, or simply a very unhealthy diet. I'm also aware that there's still a big debate to whether probiotics really help to resurrect the microbiome, but I found that this helps really well for me, so I wanted to put this tip out here as well. Science also seems to back this up to some extent. A review looked at 63 studies and found mixed evidence regarding the efficiency of probiotics to change the microbiome. But the strongest effects appear to be restoring the microbiome after it has been compromised. The last point on this list is probably the hardest one to achieve for most people, and is definitely the hardest one for me. Reduce your stress levels. I'm sure of us knows this weird feeling in the gut before a test or presentation. And I don't think we can avoid this. And temporal limited stress is not the issue, but chronic stress. I found that the only time I still experience gut issues is when I work under high pressure for a couple days. What helped me probably the most is to sit down with a fantasy book and let my mind wander in that imaginary world. Two other things to reduce stress would be to go out into nature or play with some animals. I mean, have you ever played with a dog or cat and still feeling stressed? I don't think this is even possible. Playing with animals might even give your microbiome an extra kick, as researchers found that children who were exposed to dogs and cats during their first year of life have less allergies, which is probably due to the fact that the animals share some of their microbes. Okay, that's it. These were the 5 ways to boost your gut health. To sum it up one more time: avoid processed foods, increase your fiber intake a little bit, and choose a wide diversity of food. Include some fermented foods in your diet and avoid too much stress. If you want to add something extra, exercise has also been shown to be good for the microbiome. And especially if you live in the United States, you might want to choose organic food whenever it's possible, as recent studies have shown that pesticides like glyphosate can negatively affect the microbiome. As always, you can find all the studies in the description. There's also a written transcript in English and German. Also, make sure to share this video with your friends and family if you think that these tips can also help them. And as always, thank you for watching.
Sit down.